Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. My name is AJ. I'm here to take you through some funny stories of the day. So, the idiot of the day has to go to this article. Zelensky's wife says that the 9-year-old son gives his president father advice on military matters. So, this story is not coming out just from a Twitter account. This is not fake news. This is not somebody spreading rumors. This comes out from an actual interview from Zelensky's wife. And you can see here, President Zelensky's wife has said she speaks openly about the war with her children and has revealed that her 9-year-old son gives his father advice on military matters. No wonder the Ukrainian army is being destroyed. I mean, here is Zelensky sitting with this 9-year-old son and working out how to kill the Russians and how to win the war. And his 9-year-old son says, send 100 soldiers to their deaths here, send 100 soldiers to their deaths there. Yeah, do this, do that, Dad. Yeah, Dad, come on, do it. Yeah, don't you love me? Don't you love me? Do it, do it. And Zelensky's like, okay, I'll do it. So this story has been circulated all over the world, and it's also been circulated in Ukraine at the moment, so everyone is aware of this. So a couple of takeaways. If you're a Ukrainian soldier and you're being sent to your death, just realize you're not being sent to your death on Zelensky's orders, but his 9-year-old son's orders. I mean, can you see how ridiculous that sounds? And this is exactly what seems to be happening. And this is coming from the horse's mouth, from Zelensky's wife herself. This is not any fake news or anything like that. The second takeaway is you can see how the British papers are now turning against Zelensky. They would have never have posted this story a few months ago. Never. A few months ago they would have been saying Russia's losing, Ukraine is winning, Slavia, Ukraina, yeah. They would be hymning in all sorts of tunes and songs about Ukraine, how they love Ukraine, how they love Ukrainian people, how they love Azovs, how they love NAZIs. But now you can see how things are turning. And I will show you an example how things are turning really bad. When you have the BBC not spreading one piece of news about Ukraine, you know you're in trouble. And you can see from the BBC, not one article about Ukraine. Let me make this bigger. So you see, you have Boris, you have flights being cancelled, you got something about the GPs, you got Bradford, you got Starmer, you got the French Open, you got what's the best time of day to exercise? You obviously got the more sports, you have more about around the UK. 3 things we love today. You got Jason Statham there in the middle. You got something about the Queen. You got entertainment. You got the ship is going down. Society, real life stories, food. You can see Ukraine is completely missing from the map. It's completely gone. A few weeks ago, Ukraine was all over the front pages in the BBC. Even a couple of days ago, you had Ukraine as the #1 article on the BBC. And now it's completely missing. Nobody cares anymore. It's completely gone off the radar. Completely. And it's absolutely laughable. They just don't want to report the news in Ukraine anymore. So this article I found really hilarious as well. Putin's mouthpiece suggests Russia should invade UK and take over Stonehenge. Oh, that is absolutely hilarious. Obviously, these guys are trolling the British media, and the British media went along with it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, come on. Everyone knows this is a trolling joke by that reporter. And the Daily Express, which is a newspaper run by idiots, sorry to say. I mean, they literally have no brains. I mean, you have to see Daily Express news articles every single day. They're still singing the same tune about Russia is losing, and oh my god, you're just fed up of it. These news articles, they just not gonna last. I mean, lose all their credibility. There's a story about CNN, how they basically launched their CNN Plus, which is a subscription system, and they spent billions and billions creating this new subscribe only CNN Plus news channel, and only 10,000 people basically joined, and they wanted millions of people to join, and immediately they got cut off. Basically, it only lasted a few months, and they couldn't afford it because 10,000 people is not enough. They basically needed millions of subscribers to keep afloat. So they spent billions on this, and they only got 10,000 subscribers. It just shows people are not fooled by these ridiculous news channels anymore. You just cannot trust the Western mainstream media channel anymore. And people are slowly wising up. I wised up years ago, but I can see a lot of people starting to wise up now. They can see all of the last few months they've just been fed lies after lies after lies. And now people are starting to wake up and really smell the coffee and think, you know what? These Western media outlets have been lying to us over the past few months. Russia is not losing. Russia is not collapsing. The ruble is not collapsing. All of these lies after lies, and all of it, basically to give Ukrainians money and weapons, and to basically cover the failures at home. This is all to cover their own failures at home with inflation, with the cost of living. Ukraine has been a very, very good point of distraction for many politicians around the world, especially Boris, Biden, people like that. And now people are slowly waking up and smelling the coffee, and they realize they've just been lied to. So let's look at a few more, shall we? EU state warns of downside to Russian oil embargo. Austria's energy minister says ban presents a great challenge, but was a necessary decision. So let me tell you this, this oil ban is going to be happening after like a year. So they're going to be running around, maybe not even a year, I think maybe about 8 months or so, 8-9 months, I'm not entirely sure. So they're going to be running around for the next few months trying to secure oil from all of these other countries around the world. So let me tell you something. Oil is not something that you can miraculously increase overnight. The reason oil prices are increasing day by day, week by week, month by month, because of a lack of supply. There's more demand than supply. So when you have more of a demand for oil, then the prices go up. It's natural economics. So that means there's not much of a supply around the world at the moment. So I don't know how or why they think they can get supplies miraculously in under a year. This is a year, we're talking about. Even countries who, I'm talking about, let's say Iran, for example. If they release all of Iran's sanctions overnight, it would take years to Iran to build new oil plants and refineries. It will take years to increase the oil output. So it's not something you can do, not under a year, definitely not. And the demand for oil is increasing, day by day. Every day people want more oil. For example, the West has it easy over the past, 100 years or so, because the West was running the show. They were the biggest economy in the world. The America, the British, the Europeans, and they were the civilized world, as they would say. And the rest of the world didn't matter according to them. But you have China. Look at China, for example. China has basically improved the lives of so many people that were in poverty at the moment. And they don't have extreme poverty anymore because they have their lives have improved significantly. So a lot of these people who were in poverty will soon move into middle class. And when you're in middle class, you obviously will have to buy a property, you'll buy a car. And when you buy a car, you need oil. So you have all of these poor people over the past, let's say 50 years or so, suddenly becoming middle class. They all have cars, their sons have cars, families have cars and stuff, and they all need oil. And same is happening all over Asia. You see how rich Asian people are getting. You have countries like, Southeast Asia, the ASEAN countries, they're all becoming richer. People are becoming richer there because their economy is going up and up and up, while Europe and America, their economy is not really moving. So Asia is the basic pivot at the moment in terms of economy. So people's lives are improving in Asia. So when people's lives in Asia improve, they need cars. So you have India, you are full of poor people. Even India's economy is improving. So they will need more cars. They will need more energy. So the demand for oil is going to go up in the world, not down. So I don't know how these Europeans think that banning Russian oil is going to be any good for them, because the demand is going up every single year. You have more Chinese people. They're going to be having cars. They're going to be having there's going to be new businesses coming up. They'll need oil for their industry. You have India's economy is moving up. You have a lot of poor people that could be moving into middle class, and they'll need energy. They'll need cars. So do you know what I'm trying to say? The Asia is going up. People are coming out from poor environments, moving up to the middle class, where they will need cars, where they will need energy. There's not going to be any room for Europe. So if they ban Russian oil, where are they going to get it from? Russia's going to sell all their oil to China, to Asia, to India. It doesn't need Europe. Oil is needed all over the world, especially in growing economies like in Asia or South Asia. That is the growing economy nowadays, and Russia will gladly follow where the money is, and they will gladly sell to China, to India, to Asia. Gladly. So Europe doing this, they're just shooting themselves in the foot. It just shows none of these European leaders have any brain to think for themselves. Any brains. And none of them are really even thinking about their own citizens, their own countries. They're all thinking about themselves. Like our good friend Alex says on the Duran, these guys have joined the club. These diplomats, Ursula von der Leyen, Michelle Rodriguez. Sorry, Michelle. It's not Michelle Rodriguez, it's Michelle. So you have all of these diplomats who've joined the club, and they love flying in their private jets. They love going into these champagne parties. They love virtue signaling. It's all virtue signaling. They're all looking after their own backs. They don't care about the lives of their own people. When did Boris care about the lives of British people? He's out there flying to Ukraine, doing all sorts of stuff for Ukraine, and forgetting about the real problems in England. He's hardly around. These diplomats are literally on another planet right now. They're in their own bubble. You have Rishi Sunak in his own bubble with his wife as a millionaire, basically enjoying a swimming pool which cost them £13,000 in terms of gas bills. But he doesn't care. As long as he's living life in luxury, while everyone else is struggling. There's stories about how Britain will have power cuts in the winter. Power cuts. This is the first time we're going to have power cuts since the Second World War. People are not going to be able to keep warm at night. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it looks like the USA is going to be sending long-range weapons to Ukraine to hit the Russian territory. And there's been a lot of ongoing discussions over the past few weeks, and Biden's saying, no, we're not going to send long-range weapons to hit Russia. Then he changed his tune again. He says, yeah, we will be sending them. And then you got his press secretary saying, no, we're not going to be sending them. We don't want weapons to escalate and hit Russia. And then this morning, US has said they will send these long-range advanced rocket systems to Ukraine. So Biden has basically gone round full circle, saying no, saying yes, saying no, and finally saying yes. So this is going to cause a major issue. It's not going to change the war at all. First of all, so these are obviously you can see these are quite big big weapons. They're going to have to drive all the way through Ukraine in order for these to make a difference. And secondly, these are going to be blown out the water. And thirdly, who's going to be training the Ukrainians to use these weapons? How long do they need their training for? To basically use these weapons effectively, you need training for years. I mean, this is why people are in the military. And this is why people in the military are tasked to work on a specific task. So you have these tankers who only drive tankers. You have these mechanics who only fix things. You have people in the Air Force who only fly planes. Everything is you need to be a specialist at. Even using these rocket systems, you need to be a specialist and you need to be training for it for years. And apparently they're going to be giving these Ukrainians 10 days training and sending them off. 10 days training, can you believe that? Oh my god. So this is what I see happening, okay? This is what I see happening. So these weapons are going to be sent to Ukraine. Ukraine might be able to hit some Russian cities in Russia. Russia's not going to be too happy, and they're going to be bombing the hell out of Ukraine even more, even bombing Kiev, even bombing those cities close to Poland like Lviv, Odessa, and it's going to push Russia to fight for this even more. But what the likely scenario will happen is these weapons are going to be sold to terrorists on the black market. So you can see on the dark web, I mean, I don't have access to the dark web, so I wouldn't know, but there's people telling me that, there are weapons in the dark web that the Americans and the Europeans have sent to the Ukrainians, and these Ukrainians are selling these on the dark web for money. So you can see a lot of terrorists, ISIS people are going to be buying it. Other people are going to be buying these weapons, and especially these long-range weapons. So imagine if these long-range weapons get into the wrong hands. If it gets into the ISIS hands, for example, imagine the dangers all of these American soldiers all over the world in the Middle East, or even Israel will have if somebody gets hold of these long-range weapons, or even the technology. If Hamas gets this technology, they can use it. If ISIS gets this technology, they can use it against Western troops, American troops. Do they not think that? Even the American Defense Secretary had said that a lot of the weapons that America is sending to Ukraine, most of them are ending up in the dark web and being sold to the highest bidder or whoever can afford it. So this is what's going to happen. And it's going to bite back on the West's arse very severely. So Germany is going to be sending some anti-aircraft missiles as well to help Ukraine obviously fight helicopters and planes and stuff. And this is after Ukraine was telling Germany that you guys are not sending us any weapons, and basically publicly making Germany look like fools. And so Germany will finally send its anti-aircraft missiles. So I'll tell you something, if any of these anti-aircraft missiles take down a helicopter or a Russian plane, things will escalate very, very badly. Things will very badly escalate. This is very similar to having a no-fly zone. So only reason they didn't want to have a no-fly zone is because if the West accidentally shoots down a Russian airplane, then things will very seriously escalate. I would have thought that Germany would have been the last country to do this. The last country. They had very, very good relationships with the Russian over the years. Very good relationships. Merkel had a very good relationship with Putin. And now they're burning all their bridges. I mean, I, for one, will tell you that, the Second World War was way before my time, and, you know, I know that Germany got split in half into West Germany and East Germany, and Berlin got split in half, and there was a Berlin Wall. And because Russia wanted to make sure Germany doesn't rearm itself and Germany will stay neutral. And one of the reasons that Germany basically reunified and the Berlin Wall was broken down was because Germany had given assurances to Russia and the rest of the world that Germany will not rearm, and Germany will keep good relations with Russia and stuff like that. And all of that has gone out the window. I mean, I don't know much about the history of West Germany, East Germany, and why it was separated, but I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons it got split was because Russia had lost so many people, and they wanted to make sure Germany does not rearm, Germany stays neutral. And I'm sure that was one of the things in the negotiations before Berlin Wall went down. Otherwise Russia would never have allowed it. Never would have allowed it. So they are burning all their bridges with Russia, and they're forgetting about the history. I'm sure Russia will look at this and they feel absolutely betrayed by Germany. And they know that millions and millions of Russians had died in the Second World War fighting Germany. And they see things like this again, where Germany is rearming Ukraine and they're fighting this proxy war with Russia through Ukraine. So how do you think the Russians are going to feel when the Germans get involved in this? If I was Russian, I would be extremely, extremely angry. So this could lead to very severe escalations. We'll see what happens. Ukraine have lost the war regardless, so sending weapons like this is not going to make any difference. All you are doing is angering the bear, and all Germany is doing is burning all their bridges with Russia. There will come a time when the truth comes out with Ukraine. Nobody cares about Ukraine. There will come a time, and it's coming now. I've showed you the BBC articles, I've showed you the British articles. Things are changing. Looks like German hasn't got the memo, or it looks like Scholz didn't get the memo. Even the Washington Post and media in the United States are changing as well. So Germany is still playing these ridiculous games, and one of these days they are going to regret it. Ruble yuan trade soars over 1,000%. So China and Russia are continuing to de-dollarize. They are exchanging the ruble and the yuan with each other. And the way they're doing that is Russia is obviously, China is obviously selling stuff with yuan, and Russia is also buying stuff with yuan and buying and selling, and they're also keeping each other's foreign reserves as well. So, and a lot of Chinese businesses are still operating in Russia and vice versa. So their trade is moving up at another level. A lot of people have said that China is in very serious trouble. There's like 3 trillion of foreign reserves that the United States can capture if there's a war in the Taiwanese Strait. Same way that they've captured the foreign reserve for via the central bank in Russia. So let me tell you something. A lot of people don't realize that China has actually been de-dollarizing stuff for over 10 years now, maybe more. China is well aware of what America could do. So this is why the Belt and Road Initiative had come along, because they needed a way to get rid of dollars, and they wanted to make sure that they do not leave themselves in any bad situation. So the way the Belt and Road scheme works, China loans a lot of these countries dollars. The dollars that they make, or dollars that they earn from selling goods to America, and also from the debts and other things as well. So they give that dollars to all of these countries for building their infrastructure. So they've given dollars to all these countries in Central Asia. They've given dollars to Southeast Asia to build their infrastructure along with the Belt and Road scheme. They've given a lot of dollars to Pakistan and many other countries. And these countries will have to pay back, not in dollars, but in yuan. So China's winning in the day. It's basically a legal way of cleaning US money. So they are lending people dollars and they are making back, basically their own currency, yuan. And this is how they gain rid of dollars around the world, and they're using the Belt and Road scheme to do that. They're also they can see what's happening with Russia, the way they're being sanctioned. So what China is doing, they're fast tracking the de-dollarization. And recently they had a meeting with all of the banks, and they're talking about how they can de-dollarize even faster. The digital yuan will also make things go a bit faster as well. So they are fast tracking things, and you can see from the trade that's going on between Russia and China, they are well aware of all the Western sanctions. So they are de-dollarizing at a really, really fast rate. Really fast rate. So things will change by end of this year or maybe by next year, and you will see that the dollar's value will shrink even more, because with the dollar, everything works as a percentage. So when one currency shrinks, another currency rises. So everybody knows that the ruble is rising. The ruble is currently the world's highest valued currency at the moment. So as a ruble rises, other currencies will have to fall. So the dollar is falling, the euro is falling, the British pound is falling. So the ruble is taking up lots of market share from these other currencies, and the Chinese yuan will do the same as well. Anyway, let's get to the next story. So the Biden White House, Biden's team is backtracking a lot of their foreign policy, especially with Saudi. So Biden is trying to organize a meeting with the Saudi leader, MBS. This is after the Biden White House basically had ignored MBS all of these years, and they have been talking directly to his father. And suddenly they have realized, it's a lost cause. We need to talk to MBS. And they're trying to organize a meeting with the Saudi leader. And this is after the Saudi leader and the Dubai leaders have been ignoring the White House calls over and over again. It's absolutely hilarious. And apparently they're going to meet up with Saudis and they're going to try and smooth things over. Only it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be that easy, because MBS, they do not trust Biden. Biden has done many aggressive. They've taken very much aggressive steps towards Saudis. He basically called MBS a tyrannical leader, and he blamed him for Khashoggi's death, which is true. Biden also took away a lot of Patriot missiles, which would have protected Saudis from Houthi attacks. And those attacks basically hit a lot of Saudi towns and oil facilities. So MBS is not happy with Biden at all. Biden also took a lot of these Houthi rebels off the terrorist list, and he's done many steps to really annoy the Saudis, and he's taken many steps to annoy the Dubai leaders as well. So I don't know how he's going to fix this, but Biden is not only trying to fix things with Saudi, he's also trying to fix things with Maduro. He's recently taken off sanctions off Venezuela. He's trying to fix things with a lot of oil-making countries. He's also in discussion with Iran. Obviously, that's in hold at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to be on hold pretty soon, especially as oil prices rise. They're going to have a lot of pressure to try and sort this out. America does produce a lot of oil within its borders, but unfortunately they use fracking. And fracking does a lot of harm to the environment. It harms the water, the underground water. It harms the fault zones as well, increases earthquakes, and pollutes a lot of the waters that people drink. So it causes a lot of harm, and this is why America has been fracking like crazy over the last you know 10, 20 years or so, and really destroying a lot of the ecology around America as well. And a lot of people are not very happy with the fracking techniques. But America has been making a lot of oil from it, making a lot of money from it. Unfortunately, it's not going to last because you can only go so far with fracking techniques around America. Also, the demand for oil is increasing in America. Americans love gas guzzling cars, and it's part of America's culture, and they love their massive cars, 12-liter engines, 8-liter engines, V8s, V12s. They love their pickup trucks. They have a love affair with gas guzzling cars. It's not easy for them to change to electric cars overnight. And even with electric cars, America's very far behind in terms of EVs and infrastructure. They don't have enough charging points around America, and if they do put charging points in America, they get vandalized because some of these charging points have very expensive charging wires, and what a lot of these criminals do, they cut these charging wires off and they sell in the black market because they're quite expensive apparently. So they have been vandalized everywhere. America doesn't even have the power to charge up, to have fast charging units all over America. And they can't even fix their roads. The infrastructure is crumbling. How are they going to put all of these charging points all over America? It just can't be done. And plus they have a huge ban on Chinese EVs coming into America as well, so they're not importing any Chinese EVs as well. So they're basically relying on Tesla and GM to do it, but it's just not going to kick off unless they sort out the infrastructure really. So they still need a lot of oil, and the demand is rising all over the world, not just in America. And so America is forced to deal with these countries like Saudi Arabia, like Iran, like Venezuela. And I can see them giving them whatever they want, because this year the oil price is going to shoot up, especially with the EU ban of Russian oil. And now that China is out of lockdown, I can see the oil that's starting to shoot up now. It was 120 yesterday, and now today has gone to like 125. I can see it going up to 150 over the next few weeks, a few months, and maybe up to 200 by the end of the year. Who knows? Biden is having a really bad time in his diplomacy. So there's also this story as well. Summit of the Americas is a failure. So Summit of the Americas is basically all of the Latin American countries and America get together on a summit. This year it's been held in Los Angeles in America, and what America did, they banned all of the countries they don't get along with. So they banned Venezuela, Nicaragua, and a few other countries as well. So all the other Latin American countries have said, you know what, you're banning all of these Latin American countries, we're not going to attend. So the Mexican president said he's not going to attend, and all of these other countries have said they're not going to attend as well. Oh, by the way, Cuba's the other country that America has banned. So basically they made it political. They said you are only allowed to come if we're friends with you, and all the other Latin countries are not basically taking it. Countries around the world are now standing up to America. They know America is falling. They're not as powerful as they once were. And every country, even small countries, are now standing up to the Americans and just saying to their face, that we're not taking your crap anymore. All the Latin American countries are doing it. Iran is boldly doing it. Russia's doing it. China's doing it. Even Solomon Islands is doing it. Every country, whether big or small, they're all standing up to America. And this is why the Summit of America will be a failure. The last summit that America had was the Democracy Summit, and even that was a failure as well. So this was the America's last democracy summit, and basically they invited all of the democracies from around the world, except they only invited the countries that they like. And a lot of democratic countries around the world who are democratic weren't invited to the summit, only because America didn't like them or wasn't friends with them. The countries included Singapore, Bangladesh, and many others as well. They obviously invited Taiwan, but the funny thing was, as soon as this weird-looking Taiwanese person, I mean, I had to look this up, but see this weirdo in Taiwan, basically he or she is a trans, and they're obviously virtue signaling and stuff like that and being woke. Not only that, he or she made this presentation, and you can see from the map here, they tried to say that Taiwan is the only place in the world which is open. And look at all of the other countries around. There's China, which is colored in red, which they said it was closed. You have all of the amber countries, including India. They said it was closed. So they said out of all the countries nearby, Taiwan is the only place that's open, apparently. So this upset a lot of people in the summit, including the Indians. And the Indians obviously kind of spoke to a few people behind the scenes. And this he or she guy got cut midway while having this presentation. So they cut him off or cut her off. So this goes to show, basically it's all about virtue signaling. They don't really care about the Taiwanese. They don't really care about their wokeness. They don't care about free speech because they didn't allow him or her to speak. And it was a total sham and it was a total failure. I think every single summit that Biden has hosted has been a total sham and a complete failure. And this Latin America one will be another failure as well. And I will end you with this article as I've started. And obviously the idiot of the day goes to Zelensky for taking the advice of his 9-year-old son and putting loads of Ukrainians' lives at risk or even death or injury. Anyway, that's all I have time for. I'll see you soon, guys. See you in the next video. Take care for now. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And if you can join my Patreon, that'd be absolutely amazing. Or you can buy me a coffee. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.